Hi, my name is Jim Reed. I'm the show director of the Garden Center show. I'd like to welcome you to our first of several seminars that we're going to have between now and the show, which is scheduled for August 9th to 11th, 2022 at the Wisconsin Center in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. The Garden Center show is the only show solely designed to support the independent garden center industry. I'd like to thank, at this point in time, Chris with Milaeger, who has allowed us to come and host our event here. And I also like to take this opportunity to tell you I'm especially pleased to have Amanda Thomsen with us here today. She is the owner of Kiss My Aster. She's a horticulturist, a garden designer, and also an author. So, no further ado, Amanda.
Thank you. All right, I think I'm going to stand right here. Welcome to, I think it's going to be Wacky Wednesday here with this presentation. This is kind of a new format for me. Let's see what happens. And I'd like to start off with already apologizing to the poinsettias for what I have on the next slide. Also, I'd like to say that this entire presentation is an ode to Disney Frozen movies. I don't know why. If you don't think you can hear a GIF, I'm here to say that you're wrong. You will hear in your head these different GIFs on each slide. So you won't hear this one though. This is me hitting a poinsettia in a vintage automobile. And I don't know why I did that, but I have done that. And so a holiday I made up called Poinsettimus. It is in February. It is when it's time for you to run over your old poinsettias and not try to resuscitate them and keep them going. You should just let them die and buy more plants that aren't old poinsettias. So, long story, but I had to do it. And I'm here because I'm a columnist at Green Prophet. I've been writing a monthly column, and I think for like at least 8.5 or 9.5 years. It's been a long time. I remember when I started, Ellen from Green Prophet said, "Hey, this will help you buy a lot of diapers every month." So it was a long time ago because she's 10 now. I love writing for them. It's kind of a dream come true to be able to talk to garden centers and try to affect, cool new things every month. And I'm excited to get you excited about the Garden Center show in August. So let's talk about the short range first. Maybe you can't hear that one, but you can hear this one if you have seen these movies at all. Let's talk about holidays 2021. That's not kicking it out too far. Obviously, the holidays are already here. The holidays should be a total slam dunk for anyone. People are spending money, and they're like the joke during really when the dark days of the pandemic is like they wanted their Christmas tree the week before Halloween. Do you remember that? That was about it. People are still in that mindset, right? It's kind of the same thing. I accidentally went ornament shopping before Halloween, so I think other people are still in that mindset. I've decided I'm rolling out my personal holidays like Starbucks does with Holiday 1 and Holiday 2. Like first you get the cups and then you get the wreaths. But it's only going to be a slam dunk if you can get the staff. And, that's a tricky subject we'll talk more about. And if you aren't having monumental supply chain issues, which some people are and are not having. Hiring and training has always been a problem for us. It's not like this is some new problem. Who you're going to get to do this amazing job for usually a kind of short amount of time. Maybe you don't have all of your employees year round. It's a tricky job to fill. It's especially tricky right now. I'm a big fan of inviting people to apply, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. We'll talk a little bit about interviewing, competitive wages, and pre-season parameters. This is a little blurb from Forbes. It's all I have I think 4 of them in this presentation, each one more terrifying than the last one. And I'm just going to read this real quick. It's been difficult to get people back in the workforce for a variety of reasons, he shares. Some don't feel safe yet. Some are stuck at home, caretaking children or older adults. Some are not enthusiastic about getting back to jobs they perceive as dead end. And then many older workers simply have checked out, retired, or are not coming back. So here's what I mean by inviting people to apply. And also, hey, if you're watching this at home or in your garden center, please send in your questions. I really want to hear from you. I want to pretend like you're here with us and what you have to say. And if you agree or disagree, we can get thumbs and hearts or angry faces or the other one. So inviting people to apply is something that I think it can make a connection with you about how you do that. You know those customers who think that you could give them a piece of paper and you're like, here's how you take care of animals, and they're like, but I want directions that are especially tailored to me. Do you know those people? They're like, I want you to tell me that these apply to me by you just tailoring it to me. They want nothing that you tell them for the general public is good enough. They want you to tell it to them as it applies to them, even though it applies to everybody. It's not anything new. People now want to be hired the same way. You can work here, and we think you could work here, or we think you should fill out an application. Saying that to people who are shopping, friends of employees, just rank anyone, inviting them to apply, I think is a huge deal right now, because applying someplace, especially when you're applying someplace that you like, is kind of vulnerable and icky until you get the job. You're going into the unknown. You're inviting people who don't have maybe any garden skills, but they say, hey, I really love it here, and they go, you know what, you should work here, and they go, that you need to invite them to kind of put a little toe into your world, and it's a little uncomfortable on both ends, honestly. But I don't think you're just keep putting out there, hey, we're taking applications. Guess what? Everyone's taking applications right now. It's not anything special. If people enjoy shopping where you are, they might enjoy working there, but you need to already kind of be coaxing them into the idea that they might be good at it before they even dip their toe into it, which is admittedly a little weird, but I think it's a thing. So people need to be motivated and personally invited to apply. You want to get your benefits package on the front line. So this is that you want to say, hey, you get 30% off plants, or hey, you get to take home everything that's half dead. You get to see the stuff first off if you want to have the first pick of things as they come off the truck. These are things that maybe you don't think of as benefits. I certainly do, and I certainly did when I worked in garden centers. Getting access to the pitch pile was everything to me, and it's how I learned everything about plants, is picking things up that were halfway dead, putting them in my yard, and seeing if I could bring them back to life and moving them around. And it was no cost to me other than my labor, and it's how I learned everything about plants. So don't sell yourself short that giving away your half-dead plants isn't a benefit, because it totally is. Your current employees should be your first source. If they aren't, you should ask yourself why. And I don't want to get in trouble, but I'll totally get in trouble. There's reasons, why maybe your employees wouldn't suggest their friends. And you have to take a big look at Lake Me, take a scuba dive in Lake Me, and kind of ask yourself those questions, like, why wouldn't my friends suggest their friends to work here? Is it because they don't really like their friends, or maybe they don't feel that way about this place? You have to have an upfront conversation about how the schedule works, how it is not an elective schedule, and what happens if they don't show up, and be ready for follow-through. So right now, people are leaving their regular jobs and doing things like food delivery or shopping delivery. I know someone who just quit a real job that they had for 13 years at an insurance company to hopefully make money on TikTok, like a grown-up. So there's all kinds of ways you can make money now. All the rules that we grew up with, they're all just kind of ephemeral now. They're not real anymore. People can do anything they want to do. They're like, hey, I'm gonna make TikToks for a living. You bet that they can. They can make a living doing social media posts. So how can you compete with that? Well, you have to. You have to figure out how you're going to compete with that. Also, when you're doing driving or delivering or TikToks, they can make their very own schedule, and they can do that in the middle of the night when they want to. They can do it on days that they feel like doing it and not work, whenever they don't want to make money. How can you compete with that? It's also very difficult, and you need to explain your parameters and what happens if they don't show up for work right there in the interview, and make sure that you make those boundaries so clear, so clear. So here's the things you don't want to hear slide. The rules have changed. Whatever you're doing, if it isn't working anymore, what a great time to just kind of chuck that out and blame it on the pandemic. Sorry, we're not doing that anymore. Think about what's in it for your employees. Now, here's things that you don't want to hear. Working in a garden center isn't exactly like you're not going to climb the ladder up to what? It can be that, hey, you work here selling plants, and that's the point. So what else is in it for an employee other than coming in and getting to be around plants and hopefully getting to be around really cool people? That's something that owners, managers have to consider, is that people are giving up their spring to sell plants instead of futzing around in their garden in spring. And that should have a huge, I think, price tag to it. You must pay a living wage. And you have to take a deep look and weed out anything toxic in the environment. And that includes micromanaging. We don't know anyone who micromanages. I'm sure of it. Sure that there's no one ever that micromanages. Do we have any questions?
Not yet.
All right. I want some questions. All right. So team boundaries and roles are best when decided upon before the busy season gets going. And I'm a big believer, gosh, I hate meetings. I hate meetings that could have been an email more than anything. I am an introvert. I'm uncomfortable around a lot of people. I just, meetings, even if there's pizza, I'm not into it. Even if there's donuts, I'm still not into it. But I'm a big believer in before the season gets going, get all your people in a room together, and the shirt. This is the shirt, right? You want to meet with the whole crew to get on the same page about common customer questions and complaints, so that, because I feel like we get a lot of this in the garden center industry. Mom said no, so I'll go ask Dad. A customer comes up and says, this doesn't have a price, can I have it for free? And you say no, and then they just go to the next person who's like, yeah, sure, whatever. And it just ruins your accountability, it makes the person who said no, because they should have said no, angry and resentful. So having a meeting where you can all get on the same page about every one of these little, and I don't recommend role playing to anyone. I think role playing is quite evil, honestly, but if you're going to do it, this is the place where you do it. I have one fun thing, like, have you ever seen the game when you get kids and you're like, they're all sitting down, and then you go, okay, get up right now and stand in alphabetical order, and they have to figure out from their first names how to stand in alphabetical order. It's kind of like an icebreaker for little kids. Why not do that with your crew? First, you start out with standing in alphabetical order by their name, and that's easy, right? And then go, okay, now stand in order of most knowledgeable to least knowledgeable, and watch them scramble. Possibly someone gets hurt. We don't know. Stand in order from who's most patient to least patient. Stand in order from who likes to have lunch early in the morning to late in the afternoon. What a fun way to kind of figure some of these things out before the season even gets going. And then you kind of know who you can send the patient one out to, who you can send. I'm a closer. I would like to be at the end of the patient list. I am not patient. I'm like, you gonna buy this thing? You gonna buy this thing? You gonna buy this thing? Let's buy this thing. That's kind of my deal. I would be at the end of patients. Hard and fast donations rule book. So here's my suggestion for donations, because there's nothing worse than Mother's Day. You have a hanging basket in each hand and one on your foot, and someone comes in and says, I'd like to talk to you about a donation. And they're speaking very slowly. Has this happened? Yes, it's happened. Donations have to be submitted by email in January or February. Like, here's a 30-day window. Otherwise, there's no donations. You can't be doing donations on the fly when you're busy. It's not good for business. It's good to do donations. I'm a big believer in it, but it has to be, you're the one doing the donation. There shouldn't be a whole lot of customer service in it. Are there any questions on that? On Facebook, nobody is, no? All right. Let's discuss returns and all the variables that come with that before the season even kicks off. Are we letting people return anything? I don't know. My style is at the checkout. Can we both agree that this is a beautiful, healthy plant? We option if you're looking for it to not do returns at all. It just opens you up for taking returns from other places, and not good. All right, and talk about all the expectations that you have for your employees before prime time hits. And I recommend wearing the "I don't work here" shirt on the day that you have stuff to get done. If you're stocking tables, I think it's funny. They always ask the one who's busiest, right? If you're just standing there waiting to help customers, they're going to ask the person with the hose. So e-commerce, did I spell it correctly? It looks funny. Yeah. So for those of us that did a lot of e-commerce at the beginning of the pandemic, it's time to really sit back and think about what you gained, what's still happening, how you want to proceed with that, or if you have already weeded it away or plan to kind of trail off. I'm a big believer in it. I think it's super awesome because I'm on my phone all the time. Are we going to continue with curbside pickup? Are you guys still doing curbside pickup? Hardly anybody asking. Hardly anyone asking. When I was in Massachusetts 2 weeks ago, I think they were saying that it's still popular there. So it's hard. It's probably case by case. Were these things only successful because of the pandemic, or are they things that customers want? Do you have a question?
Yeah, question. So one of your audience members wants to know if they should be concerned about delivery times if they're shipping. And like, when should their Christmas cutoff be? Because
Oh yeah, the Christmas cutoff should be, because right now things are terrible with shipping, and their Christmas cutoff should be, you want to do it well. Give yourself plenty of time to do that, and it's heartbreaking for you to do an amazing job only for it to get lost on the shipping part. And I also recommend, absolutely charging for every cent of that shipping. Don't make the shipping a deal, and then do insurance, ship with insurance. But the cutoff should be like, I don't know, 3 o'clock today. Wait a minute, it is already 3 o'clock today. The shipping cutoff should be, I would say, 2 weeks before Christmas. I think that's about right. Let me know if there's a follow-up question on that. If they're like, no, knucklehead, that's not what I meant. You can call me that. It's okay. All right, next up. Any questions here? Nope. All right. So another uplifting quote from Forbes. Retailers have learned that the need to be nimble over the last 2 years, which, sidebar, I'm so delighted at how garden centers who said, we're never going to do online, and we're never going to change, and we're going to do things the same for the rest of our lives. Nimble. Everyone was so nimble. Everyone was like, yes, I've got it up tomorrow. I've got curbside tomorrow. I've got amazing success stories, and I would personally like to give everyone a pat on the back who did that, because it's just amazing, these places that got this stuff up and started doing it nearly immediately. But after all the shifting required over that time, retailers are tired. Are we tired? Are we tired? Yeah, we're really tired. I'm going to talk a lot about that. Should they promote more e-commerce or more in-store experiences? How do they balance both? The answer will be different depending on where they are and their supply chain and with their employees. So social media and e-newsletters is, really bigger than ever, I think. And the people who even just, I would say 5 or 6 years ago were like, it's never going to happen. And now this is our everyday. So for social media, these are a few accounts that I absolutely love on Instagram. And let me just tell you briefly why I like each one. Scioto Gardens. They are a native nursery. It is hard to be a saucy, interesting nursery about natives, and they make it happen. So they have funny memes. They use their sense of humor. They use a little bit of teasing in their marketing, and they make an excellent Instagram. Sightwind Gardens is all about their community. They are an integral part of their community. Their employees, or their mission as a garden center, is to give adults with disabilities positions in the greenhouse, and they really reflect that in their social media. If you want to take a photo of this list and check them out, you can. I think it's really important, and I'm going to talk about this more in the next slide, is most garden centers, you click on their page and it's a picture of a lot of flowers. You got to differentiate yourself in one way or another. Botany or Bust is a new garden center or it's more of a plant shop in South Bend, Indiana, and they do a really great job with graphics and kind of elevating what you expect from a garden center. Peachtree they exude fun on their Instagram. They almost have a vibe. Like when you just click on their page, you kind of feel that this place is different than other places. And then Sweet Pea Knoxville has a very elevated look, and it really shows you what can be done to really kind of shake things up and not be cookie cutter. There's so many more out there, and these are just the ones that really popped into my head, and it could be good. Yes?
Somebody wants to know how often they should be posting on social media, and do they have to do a bunch of channels, or can they just do Insta?
They can just do Insta at this point. It's tricky. Facebook, my Facebook and my Instagram, which would be similar to yours too. I have a lot of fans on Facebook, and I do okay on Instagram. They're completely different people. They're completely different groups on both. And I post the same thing on both now and get completely different likes and comments on both. If I do something a little younger and hipper on Insta, it falls a little bit flat on Facebook. If I do something that's just nice and pretty, it does really well on Facebook and falls a little flat on Insta because it's not toothy and cool. So let me talk a little bit more about this. They should be posting, I'm not going to say every day, but every other day, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in the slide, I think, after this. But keep on me if I don't answer every component of that. So all good Instagram accounts have most of these things. Okay, so I have a lot of garden centers following me, a lot. And I'm a real creeper. So I check on them when I see this garden center likes me. I click on their page. Do you know how many garden centers don't have not even their address, but like what state they're in on their page? I mean, there's nothing there. So you have to make sure you have a business account. If you have a business account, you can put your website in there, and you have to have your address. I would say that that's a basic, but it's not. It's like common sense isn't that common anymore. You have to have your address. It's a business. You need to tell people where you're at. Someone followed me today, and I was like, man, I'd really like to go here, and it was like spring. We're in Springfield. I'm like, Springfield, what? Give me a hint, because I would drive there if you told me just where. So you need to have a link to your business or Linktree, and there's a couple different things like Linktree. You don't have to get Linktree specifically. And what Linktree is one link in your bio that you can go to, and you can share all kinds of links. Here's your website. Here's a clip of you guys on the morning news. Here is an article that you had in the paper. You can have all different things on there. And it really helps you kind of spread out what knowledge you have in a way other than just go to my website and try looking for this information. So if there's something that you're talking about this week, you can put that link right to that. Hey, we're talking about mealybugs. This is how we get rid of mealybugs. And then we have a link in our link tree from the extension Master Gardeners, and we put it in our link tree, and they know exactly where to go to get it. If you have enough space in it depends on how much information you put in there, how many digits, that's not the word I'm looking for, but how many letters you have left. You put your hours in there, and show people in your posts. So this is what I'm saying, is that if you go to an Instagram page and it's just flowers, that's pretty, but really your people are so important in selling plants and flowers. Have someone holding a tray, have someone pushing a cart, have someone stocking something. Try to make sure they're smiling. That would also really help. But have people in your posts. Video is so important, but I'm not going to die on that hill today. Good video is really, it gives people a feel of what you're dealing with. This is an amazing garden center here, and you would never know how big it was if you didn't have a video of showing things around. It'd be a really good space for doing video. So this is a little hard to see, but we'll go through it. And if anyone wants me to email them a copy, you can email me at amanda@kissmyaster.com, and I'll send you a PDF or something of this. It's 30 days of content. It can be reused for every month because there's 30 days of it. For that one day, for those months that have 31, you just get that day off. So not one person doing social media. Spread it out so that it's not daunting. Leave this on the lunchroom table and have everyone sign up for a day. And you'd be amazed at all the different perspectives you can get with that. So the first one is how-to in three simple steps. Employee spotlight. Now, employee spotlight can work two ways. It can be a spotlight on an employee or a random employee doing a spotlight on something that they love. What's new in the store? Hey, this just came in. These posts are so popular. Customers feel urgency when you're like, hey, this just came in off the truck, go, I'll be right there. This is not correct. They want something that is rare, that is special, that is maybe no one else is gonna get. Share how someone would shop there for the first time. So do a short, we're talking a 30-second video, and hey, once you park, here's what you do. You come and here's how you get a cart, here's how you get a tray, here's how we pack it in your trunk with a liner, and make a video like that so that a first timer could understand how to come in here without feeling like a knucklehead. Your manifesto, why not have a manifesto? What's blooming? That's an easy one. We're already doing that. Video store tour, 30 seconds. Here's our perennial section, real quick. Share a meme, be silly, be funny, show your sense of humor. It's welcoming to people who are not regulars and people who are younger. Explain a benefit your business offers. Hey, we have a potting party, or we do pots and send them out. Show what's new again, inspire some repeats because consistency is key. Inspire your followers with a quote. So that's you layer the quote over a picture of flowers. Popular FAQ, take a photo with a well put together cart. You know those people who know what they're doing, like everything in their cart looks like you just see how it's gonna go. You just know. Hey, can we take a picture of your cart? You did a really good job. Oh, that wins on two ways. You're gonna sell those plants one time and probably another 6 times, and you're making that person who picked out the nice cart feel really good about themselves, which I love doing. Do a product roundup. Hey, this is what we have that's hot today on Wednesday. We're selling poinsettias, we're selling plants for terrariums, and we're selling a lot of houseplants systemic because it's that time of year. Host a Q&A session. What's your favorite thing about your garden center? I would recommend that being a video where you run up to an employee, gorilla style, and go, hey, what's your favorite thing about working here? And they say something, and that's the end of the video. And that could be a good story. It doesn't have to be a post. It could be a story, which that's where the kind of the B-rolls go, or the more candid things go. Give a quick product demo or service demo. So, hey, we want to show you how houseplant systemic works. Here's how you do it. Show what's new. Promote your email list. So that's you have a picture of a poinsettia in the background, and it says, hey, join our email list because here's what you get. Here are the benefits to joining our email list. Employee spotlight, share a tip, thank your followers and customers, post an Instagram takeover of your youngest staff member. If that doesn't scare you, it should scare you. Like the kid who loads the soil and slaps it, you want to see what he has to say about this place, okay? All right, share a sneak peek of an upcoming product. Hey, we just ordered this, it's coming in. We don't know when it's coming in, but we ordered it, it's on its way. Promote your personal favorite product or surface, this or that comparison. So you post a photo of 2 different things side by side, and you say, which one do you prefer, this or that? And it really encourages, you're asking people to comment, and they want, there's something, some little trigger goes off in their brain, and they're like, oh, I need to give you my opinion on this. It's like a weird magical thing. So you do a cyclamen or a poinsettia, and so you're going to have 60 comments of people saying poinsettia, duh, even though cyclamen are way cooler, personally. And all you have to do is have a little thing that says this or that, and have 2 pictures of any 2 things. You could do it all day long. People just love giving their opinion. Remind people of your business hours. Share a recent testimonial from a customer. Dispel a myth about gardening. And number 30 is show your animals. Do you have any animals working here? I mean, actual animals. I wasn't meaning to put you on the spot, but sometimes greenhouses are like, wait, this is the greenhouse cat, you know? So then you just skip 30. You don't have to do every single day, and you don't have to do them in this order. Some of them are going to move you. I think people who are stressed about how that they post are putting too much pressure on themselves. Like it isn't something that you can't erase 5 minutes later if you feel like. I do that all the time. I go through my Instagram and erase anything that has less than a couple hundred likes because I want to seem more popular than I am. But you can do that all the time. If you post something and it isn't taking off the way you want it to, you just delete it. But try. It doesn't hurt to try. And I think that for the most part, would you agree that most of these don't really take a lot of time? Right? They're like mostly accosting other employees. That's what I recommend. I'm stand by it. That's the hill I am going to die on. So anyways, I will send you that if you want me to. It's Amanda@kissmaster.com. E-newsletters? Yes.
I have a question. What do you post if we close down for part of the season?
Yeah.
What do you post during the time that you're closed down? I mean, I'll start posting maybe some new roses that we'll have for this time of year. But what else?
Are you a grower? Are you growing anything?
We grow roses, we grow some things.
We're going to talk about, I want roses, so we can be best friends after this. Show a beautiful sunrise that's over the greenhouse, or show, if there is anything going on, show a messy desk filled with order books, and show an employee meeting where you're talking about things, or an open catalog with a cup of coffee and a donut with one perfect bite out of it. Show the process. People are interested. Trust me, they really are interested. The things that you think are so minuscule and not worth anyone's interest, that's exactly what they want. And it's hard to kind of snap out of what we do to realize it. Does any of that make sense?
I don't know if I want to see a bunch of messy papers.
It's not about you. It isn't. It's about them.
Yeah.
And so,
I mean, putting myself in their place.
well, I mean, like, do you have any animals?
We did.
You did.
She was so loved by
We
everyone.
did not want to go this direction. I'm so
We
sorry.
do have some friends that come in that are customers
Yeah,
and come in quite often, and sometimes we take pictures of the dogs that are
very
in there.
good. Yeah.
5 flowers.
So maybe it doesn't have to be a mess desk, but it can be a catalog or something. But you can stage it. Do you know what a flat lay is? It's new and kind of stupid, but it's popular. And you should do it anyways. So that's when you set a bunch of things on the floor or on a table, and you take a picture from above, and you can have it very organized. So it could be a cup of coffee, pens, a catalog, and something, and you just take an organized picture that kind of gives the mood of what's going on, even if the mood isn't really all that. So there's all kinds of ways to keep your hand in, because I wouldn't recommend going dark for months.
No.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to get ideas of what else you can do during the time that you're
Yeah, obviously landscape photos of like when the sun's coming up, the sun's going down, first snowfall, the icicles. I mean, I would say get a good camera. My iPhone 13 takes mind-blowing photos. I mean, I can't even believe it. There's a little wide lens that you push a little doodad, and it's just like the best thing for taking photos of gardens and garden centers, and it just takes great photos. People are interested in the process. You just have to maybe take a day and step back and go, hey, this isn't maybe as boring as it is because I've been doing this, forever. But people are interested in the process, and there is beauty there if you make it. So e-newsletters, frankly, I like to subscribe to e-newsletters to be supportive of garden centers, but it's like, hey, we're having a 4th of July sale. Come and buy our 4th of July sale. And it's not very, interesting in any way, so I work at unsubscribing. But I've noticed that the pandemic has made e-newsletters so much more interesting because they're like, hey, we're closed on Friday because Joyce can't come in. And things have gotten incredibly more personal and interesting, and I'm tuned in. I'm with the popcorn. I'm like, what are these garden centers? What's going on with them? They're telling you more personal stories and what's going on, when they're going to be open, when they're going to be closed. You're interested in what they have to say a little bit more. So I think it's kind of like a second heyday for newsletters. You can share your stories and be more human. And the key, I think, to a good newsletter is that when you're writing the newsletter, anybody have to write their newsletters here? No? Yes? Yes? All right. Pretend that you're writing the newsletter to a good friend. But the good friend also likes to shop at your shop. So, hey, we want you to know, I know you wouldn't want to miss out on this, but there has to be content there that is valuable and friendly. Supply chain, oh my goodness. So who knows how long it's gonna be a problem. I read some things that said even next Christmas could be a nightmare. Any questions on that? I think they all come over. I read that, and I'm sure that that's like a doomsday scenario. So, I think it's not petty to recommend like getting some pea seeds and some nasturtiums and some things that you can start real fast when things get lean. I was thinking maybe even winter sowing like the peasants, customers do sometimes, like putting your milk jugs out there with perennials in them, because we just don't know what's going to happen. I think that the supply is usually more with hard goods and not as much with plants, but we all had pre-orders that didn't show up the way they were supposed to. We all had problems with tropicals this year. So see what you can do, or how you can creatively problem solve that way. Selling experiences, if you have the staff to have potting parties, have a wreath making class, have a terrarium making class, and make do with what you have in something like a terrarium class where you could tear up a bigger plant and make little sections of it. Or, it's really an inventory taking of what you have and then figuring out what's the experience that we can sell with this product. Buyback product program, I'm so excited about the idea of this, and it's also so stupid at the same time. So, hey customers, did you buy a container from us, or even a container you didn't buy from us? We'll buy that back if you don't need it anymore. And we're going to have a whole section of rando buyback stuff, and it's going to be great prices, and you get it out of your garage, and it's almost like a gimmicky little hook. You don't necessarily want to be buying back plants from people or house plants, because you don't know what kind of house plant systemic you're going to need with that. But with some hard goods, why not? Like, it would be a little bit interesting to say, hey, we'll have a buyback program for your old pots, your old trellises, things like that, and then be able to get those people in the door. Like, you really need more foot traffic, and maybe buying bigger pots. And then some newer gardeners who are younger and have less money to start with can be buying that old product for the buyback. I think it's an interesting idea. I'm not fully fleshed out with it yet, but I think it's worth dipping a toe in. And then partnering, so that would be partnering maybe with a local garden blogger or a local maker, and doing something with them, like, hey, we're going to have a blogger in here for the whole day, documenting things. Come on in and see what they're doing, or an artist in residence. We're going to have someone here who's water painting all day. And buying local, which is, I have a couple really cool tricks I can show you on my phone after we're done talking, and I can even show the camera if you want me to. All right, here's another bleak tip from Forbes. Consumers generally are not good at thinking 2 or 3 moves ahead. He says retailers, on the other hand, should be able to do that. But given the remaining uncertainty surrounding the supply chain, employment status, and inflation, which I'm not going to talk about inflation. I'm a creative problem solver. I don't know anything about inflation. That's bigger than what I can deal with. There are still many variables that make 2022 retail impossible to predict. Fun stuff. So local and sustainable now more than ever. Hey, bring in your old plants, refuse, and we'll compost it for you. We've got a big compost pile in the back. Support for school gardens, local food trucks, have them come in the parking lot, and so people can shop and get some food. Local artists, have those come in, have a show here maybe for a month, find ways to work with your community in a way that's also really easy for you. That is the important part of that equation. Have a movie night in your garden center, and when possible, grow your own. Another bleak tip. After we get through the current crisis, people are going to turn their attention to why we are shipping things all around the world and adding to the carbon footprint. He says, I'm talking to lots of organizations about decarbonizing their supply chain, and 99% don't know how to do that. They don't even know where to start. I think this is going to be a big deal coming up, especially with younger generations. I'm excited for it. We'll talk a little bit about burnout, because I think we're all feeling it. I think that there are a lot of garden center employees and etc. who are possibly legally dead, but they keep showing up to work every day anyways. I don't know how, but it's amazing. You look amazing. So how can we continue to keep up with this pace? We can't. That's the first thing. So here's 100 ideas. There's maybe less than 100. I tend to over exaggerate. Change your hours. I probably could think of her garden center right now, but I can't right now just because of pressure. But she said they just use the pandemic as an excuse to close early 3 days a week. We used to be open until 8 or 9, and now we close at 5, and no one's complained. And it's a great time to change things. Where I live in suburban Chicago, there are high volume companies who are just closed on Sundays now. Restaurants, shops, the place I wanted to go buy lighting, they're like, no, we're just closed on Sundays now. Obviously that's an easy one for us this time of year, but consider taking it a little easy on yourself the rest of the year. Fire bid customers, we'll talk a little bit more about that. Skip discounts altogether, that's coming up. Setting boundaries, having a good cry. I recommend, if you can get one, a walk-in cooler or a garage on the outer, like where you can close the garage door and you can cry or scream in there. Step out of your comfort zone. Oh, this one has a line through it. Set goals, accept challenges, ask for feedback, which is terrifying. Identify fears. Yes, if. Tell your stories, dream big. Make sure you're solution-oriented and not problem-oriented. Get some perspective and remember who you are. How am I doing on time? I have no idea. Oh my gosh, I've got a lot to get through. Why are we even discounting things when we already have what they want? I mean, sometimes things get old, but there's also things that we can do with old things, like put them in planters, divide them, all these kinds of things. I feel like often when we do discounting, we're training the customers to have really bad behavior and come to the register and be like, I'll give you $3 for this. I'm like, sir, that is not how this works. It's not a garage sale. We get a lot of this, right? So why do we discount things altogether? Anyways, my local garden center never has a discount. They'd rather just turn it into compost. And I worship them for this. I think it is just awesome. And I think that through that practice, they also have culled so many bad customers or people who are just in there looking for a deal. And it's magic when you walk in there. You can feel the difference that it just, they don't have any bargain hunters. Firing customers. I'm a huge believer in firing customers. You can't be for everyone. I would say you can't get everyone to like you. I don't even like me all the time. So how are you supposed to get everyone else to like you all the time? There are people who come in who have the mindset that they're going to be unhappy no matter what, right? Why would we send someone there to basically fertilize that? We want to send one of your sales staff over there to give this person their attention, which is what they want. It's bad news. Repeat offenders, if they've come in and had bad behavior more than a few times, it's time for them to go home. You need time to take care of the cool customers, and that time has to come from somewhere. Also, when you have a lot of bad customers, you can feel it. Like, my thing is, like, when I go to Nordstrom, I can feel that they have bad customers. Like, they have people who are there and they're going to abuse the system and they're going to do these things, like return things after they've worn it and all that stuff. I feel it. They're too nice in there to stop bad behavior, and you can feel it. And then gray rocking is something that apparently Gen Xers, we came up with it, which is you're going to take care of this person, but you're going to give them the least amount of interface and chance to get in as possible. Is this on sale? No, it isn't. You don't have to say, oh, I'm sorry, it is not on sale, but let me show you something that is on sale. You do not, if they are, I'm not saying to do this to perfectly nice customers. This is for people who you know are energy vampires or they're just bad customers. You can be polite without giving them everything. So that's gray rocking. We haven't been setting goals because we've been too darn busy, but guess what? We're really busy. We were too busy to set goals before the pandemic. Now we're super busy. Things move too fast. We are too tired. We think the rules don't apply to us. We're like, retail rules, this is different. We're growing live products, but the retail rules do apply to us. We are really good in a pinch, and is that enough? I am excellent at saving the day, but I am not great at the day-to-day stuff. And I have a hunch that a lot of garden center people are like that. Like, we can, like, hey, greenhouse 4 is flooding. I'm like, yes, I can totally take care of that. But I can't remember to punch in and out. customers, that's a great reason to not set goals. And you can look for every shiny distraction anywhere. Finding new challenges is spicing things up by having staff challenge each other. So this is when trees and shrubs challenges perennials to have higher sales for a Saturday morning. Or they're challenging each other. So this is a manager or owner dropping a little bug in someone's ear, like, I think you should just go challenge annuals, to throw down with perennials. And that can be really fun and shake things up and help stem burnout because it's just so silly and ridiculous. Or the manager or owner sets up a group challenge that, I want you all to go out there and see who can approach the most customers, and you keep a little tally. And that gets rewarded with pizza. Seek external challenges where you, as a group, you run a marathon, or you do a food drive, or you do something that's more of a team building thing than a customer-oriented thing, but still a fun challenge something that you can look forward to, something that breaks things up. Oh, another sad quote. We're in the new normal where we're experiencing some inflation, continued supply restraints, and a really weird labor market, Holler concludes. These seem to be characteristics of the new normal, and we better get used to it. How long it lasts, we don't know, whether it's a 6-month cycle or 12-month new normal or an extended new normal economic cycle. Nobody can tell. Uplifting. I want you to remember to tell your story. This is a big deal for social media. Don't know what to post? Let's tell a story of how this place got started, or one day when things went wrong, or this day when things went right. Our plants, service, and products are aces, but let's tell stories about our people. Remember who you are. You are an expert in your field. You might be an introvert, but you've been out extroverting all day. You saved the day many times. Tell your stories. Just because we're in the dirt doesn't mean we're less than anyone that we're serving. I'm trying to scoop you right through here. Stop problems before they begin. Stop wasting time and energy on micromanaging. I would like to stop the micromanaging overall. Stop second guessing yourself. You hired great people. Let them be great people. Intuition is a thing. I think my interviews tend to be really great, really short. I'm like, I like you. Customers will too. You're hired. And then we do a thorough background check. I think that sounds reasonable. Inner office drama cannot be a thing. You do not have time for inner office drama. You have too much drama out there on the sales floor. You do not have time for things that are going on. What Susie says about Sally says more about Susie than it does about Sally. Try to bring your best communication skills, and I really recommend the Growth Mindset book by Carol Dweck about people, and you could ask some questions based on that book in interviews. I think it would serve you very well. It's a really cool book. It's called Mindset. Brilliant book. Getting perspective, I want you to go for a drive, take the weekend off, opt in for mindless tasks where you can kind of dissociate a little bit. Go to events like this where you can get some perspective. Check out other garden centers, wear a fake mustache and big glasses and a hat, and then it's fun. And they totally know who you are. They all do. Check out other businesses as a whole. Like, hey, I wonder how IKEA does this. I wonder how the grocery store does this. And then hire an outside person. If you do not have time in the day to do all the things you need, hire someone to do your accounting. Hire someone to do your social media. Hire someone to do your marketing that's an outside person so you have time to do what you need to be doing. You do not need to do it all, and I'm here to tell you you do not need to do it all. And that is the end. Do you have any more questions?
There's one question, and there was a Forbes quote about like people be nice again.
Yeah, you know what? It took me a long time in my life to have some boundaries, and I think that if you tell people politely that you have boundaries and that not being nice isn't going to get them anything that they want any faster, or what we do is someone's not nice to us, and we're just like, oh, okay, and so we're like, hey, that wasn't very nice. We don't have any boundaries, and then we continue to be the pound of flesh, and it's going to keep going like that until we say, hey, that wasn't all right. And that kind of goes back to firing customers. But yeah, I know what it is. And I mean, everywhere I go, I am horrified as a shopper. When I'm shopping, I'm horrified by the other shoppers, and now I'm back to not going anymore again. So I'm really as kind as I can be to everyone everywhere I go, because it's ugly out there. Are there any other questions at the last minute?
Getting lots of cheers on ways to revive yourself, but no more questions.
All right, I went through it super quick. I do really want to dwell on the fact that you need that social media calendar. Email me and I'll send it to you. And I think that's it.
All right, thank you.